Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode Larry Bird.
I was going to say Zdeno Chara.
Who?
He's a Boston Bruin. He's number 33.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the tallest man in the league.
Huh. I've honestly exhausted.
I was going to say, he's the tallest man in the league. 5'11".
Yeah, I've exhausted most of my sports knowledge with that joke. Today, we are here to discuss...
Go Sox!
Today...
Yankees suck!
Here we go, Bruins. Here we go. Is that still a thing? Do they still do that?
They do something.
The bear face?
I don't know if they do that one. They do...
Motherfucker. That's the best. The bear.
Are there any Parisi Square team names we could start saying?
A what?
Parisi Square.
What the
What's
fuck
that?
is that?
It's some kind of...
Don't act like you know what it is.
I do know what it is.
No, it's from Star Trek.
It's a Star Trek.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Then you do know what it is.
It's on topic.
Sorry.
Sort of. Anyway.
We're never going to
What
get
was
on
it that
topic.
Worf said? Destroy the opposition or something when they were doing the baseball game.
Oh, I remember. Wait, it's... Well, he was taken out by a bunch of boxes. Oh,
Yeah.
no, sorry. That was what Chekhov said during whatever that shitty episode was that we're going to talk about tonight.
Tholian
Should we
Web?
let Chris
So,
do the intro?
we are here to discuss, aside from our local sports, For the World is Hollow, and I Have Touched the Sky. How poetic.
I love it.
And The Tholian Web. I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames?
Caitlin.
And Jake.
I love how we say today like we have a rotating set of people, and we don't.
I've said this before. It's like, I'm joined by... I'm always joined by you assholes.
Yeah. Oh, well.
We should have...
We should wear masks.
We should have a fifth crewman. That's what we should call ourselves because we're assholes.
God, that would suck.
Can we get Leslie?
We should.
He is still alive.
Oh, we should have Red Shirt of the Week.
Ah.
We bring in a friend to join us on the show, and then at the end of the episode, we kill
Kill
them
them.
horribly.
You had a yard. We have a place to bury
on
them.
board, but then now I am. Yeah, that sounds perfect.
In For the World is Hollow, and I Have Touched the Sky, we open with the Enterprise being attacked by old-fashioned chemically propelled missiles, which they very easily shoot out of the sky with their phasers. Intrigued, Kirk orders the ship to follow the missiles to their point of origin. Meanwhile, down in sickbay, Dr. McCoy and Nurse Chapel are having a bit of a row, as they say in...
Oh, what do you call them here? Bit of a spat, is it? What?
Yes.
Oh.
They were having a domestic. So they're having a bit of an argument, and then Kirk arrives, and Chapel is dismissed with McCoy promising to tell everything to Kirk. McCoy soon reveals that he is dying of...
Xenopolysthemia,
what Ames said.
I think.
Which basically kind of sounds like AIDS, yeah?
No, I'll get to that.
I
Okay,
think it's
great.
like mesothelioma because there was asbestos in his childhood home.
So anyway...
If it's anything like the current one, it means he has too much red blood in his blood.
Fair enough.
At least he doesn't have too much iron
Too
in his
much
blood,
red
am I
blood.
right?
Too many red blood cells compared to the rest of it.
Corpuscles.
Yes.
1
So-
year to live.
Yes, so he has 1 year to live. And if you have worked out that this attack and Bones' sickness are going to somehow dovetail, you're good at television. So, tracking the trail of the missiles brings the Enterprise to a big fucking asteroid just trundling through space, and they
That's
quickly
no
realize...
moon.
Yes, that it is in fact a spaceship.
And it's on course to collide with planet what the fuck.
Yes!
Darren 5
Good
or
old
something?
planet.
Darren
What the
5.
Darren 5.
Darren
that sounds
5,
nice.
or, insert any bewitched name you can think of. Here, 5.
I've always had something against the name Darren.
Tabitha 5?
Nothing against people named Darren, but like
Well, it's because Bewitched turned you against it.
maybe it must be it.
Darren Prime for life. Always. He was the better Darren. Sorry, guy
Damien,
who's not
too.
Dick York.
Damien's way worse.
Wasn't it Dick York and Dick Sargent? Like, wasn't it two guys named Dick both
No, I
playing
think it was-
Darren?
Anyway, no, but anyhow.
Two
So,
dicks,
they
one
beam
Darren.
down to the planet, because basically, the inside... This part I'm a little confused on. So, what appeared to be the surface of the planet was actually inside the asteroid shell, right? Like that was
like
the
a
idea.
dome inside.
Inside the asteroid
Yes.
that made it look like they
That's
were
why
outdoors.
when you touch the sky,
Yeah,
you're
right.
touching
That's what I
the
thought,
end
but I
of the
wasn't
dome.
totally
Oh,
clear.
yeah, I wasn't clear on that.
The
either.
whole thing was inside the asteroid.
Yeah,
It was
so-
the surface was just made up to look like a planet.
So yeah, they
But then
beamed
they
down.
landed on the surface, and some people came up.
No, but they weren't on the surface. They were still inside.
Yeah, so there's like the
Who
outer.
did they land?
Inside the asteroid.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like a layer of shell that looks like asteroid, and
This
then
was a confusing element.
yes, that's why I had to confirm with you lot.
Yeah.
That's
So they-
what now the old man makes so
Oh,
much
yeah,
more
what's
sense.
in the title. So yeah, they beam down because all of their scans have shown no life signs. So they're admittedly caught a little off guard when these big fucking tubes open and people in ridiculous pajamas rush out
I want those pajamas.
and apprehend them.
Pretty lady, though.
Yes, pretty lady who McCoy doing really well in a fight for once gets
Even
screwed.
though he's dying.
Yeah, gets screwed because he sees her and just immediately has an erection. And just stops dead like, holy shit! But meanwhile, she's looking at him like, hello, sailor. And, shit's gonna happen. So they're brought
She's looking
down...
at him like Caitlin and I would look at him.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they're brought down to meet the Oracle, who immediately, zaps them with pain beams, because apparently you have to, know what a dickhead he can be before they'll be your friend, which...
Know what it is to be my enemy before you be friends.
Exactly.
Whatever the fuck.
So, they're brought to, and they're sitting there being treated to food and drink, and Bones is actually, takes a while to wake up because since he's ill, the effects of the beam are harder on him, and at this point, Kirk, I forgot to mention, promised not to tell anyone, but has to tell Spock, because Spock has already worked out that something's wrong here.
And he had that touching moment where he put his hand on his
Oh
shoulder.
my god. I would say his heart was breaking, but his heart is somewhere other where the heart should be, so his spleen was breaking.
Yeah, exactly. So,
He was wearing his spleen on his sleeve.
yes. So he comes to, and then the people come and bring him food and drink, and... No, this is where the old man shows
The
up.
old man
brings
comes
them
with
pills.
some drugs.
And he's all like, I snuck out and climbed the mountains, which is forbidden, and I touched the sky. Hey, he said the title. But then a
Another
little
drink.
red light goes on in his head and he dies. And then the priestess and her people come in with food and drink for them. And it's like, oh, he did something he shouldn't have. And they have him dragged out. And
And they eat him.
yeah, probably. So
gain
then
his
there's
power.
some conversation, and eventually Kirk and Spock, want to have a bit of a look about. So they're like, oh, we're going
Look
to
about.
go. Bones can stay and talk to you. And Bones gets his Mac on, and she is totally into him. And, they eventually sneak into the Oracle room because luckily Spock can speak Fabrini, which is this long dead language. We'll get to that.
Fucking Spock, man.
Sounds like a restaurant in the North End, doesn't it? Fabrini's.
Yeah.
Got the Fabrinis. We got the best
Cannolis.
Fagiolio. I'm Italian. Can't you tell by my voice?
But, they sneak into the Oracle room, and the Oracle gets pissed and blasts the fuck out of them.
For a
And
long time,
yeah,
too.
rightly
Oof.
so. And the priest is all like, I have to, she's talking to Bones, she's like, I have to, kill your friends because that's our law. And
Sorry,
Bones is
babe.
like, what if I married you?
What if that's our marriage gift?
And she's like, yeah, all right then. And so McCoy's going to stay behind. He is, in their earlier conversation, she knows he's dying. So he's not like, pulling a bait and switch. She knows he's only got so long. But they have a little marriage ceremony, and Spock and Kirk very reluctantly go back to the ship. But then Bones immediately tries to figure out how to fix things, which causes his red light to go off, but it doesn't kill him for some reason. Luckily, he'd been on the phone with Kirk when his light went off, so Kirk and Spock beam in like, oh, Jesus!
Because he told him about the book.
Yes, Chicago Gangsters of the 20s, Fabrini edition. And, Spock has a magical medical doodah that pulls the light out of Bones' head so he doesn't die. And then the priestess lady is like, maybe I believe you, and her red light starts to go off. It's all very Logan's Run. They pull hers out, and then, short version, they break into the Oracle room, get into the control room, get the ship back on course, everyone's happy. And guess what? The Fabrini or whatever had a big old database which contained the cure for mesothelioma. And
If
Kirk,
you or someone you know is affected by mesothelioma blackstockemia,
Call
You
the
may be
law
entitled
offices
to
of
a,
Barry Feinstein and Associates.
well, it's the future. They don't have money though. Anyway, so the thing ends with Kirk being all like, maybe we can arrange to be at whatever planet they're going to be at in like a year or so. And Bones is like, I'm going to get laid.
If you want
A
to
year
express,
from now, I'm
if,
gonna get laid.
If you want to express your gratitude to the Fabrini personally,
Yes, that's what it was.
And then-
With your penis.
and then like the way that like his face went from like He had like an eyebrow, and then a half smile, and then just like a big fuck off, I'm gonna get some pussy smile.
It's in a year, though. It's in over
390 days or
Yeah.
something.
I'm sure time goes fast in space, especially when you're constantly getting murdered by aliens.
I feel like that doesn't come up enough because there's the whole like when you're traveling over the
Well,
speed of
yeah,
light,
that's-
blah blah blah. That's
Yeah.
too complicated for Star Trek.
Also,
That's too complicated for fucking me.
pretty sure they've worked out a way to make masturbation really good in the future. So it'll be sad for him, but he'll get by.
Well, we'll get to that because like we'll find.
Are we going to get to that? We're going to talk about futuristic masturbation?
Let's finish the synopses first.
No, that's regular masturbation, Jake, and I've asked you before not to do it while we're recording.
In the Tholian Web, they ran out of ideas and recycled a bunch of old ones. Weird shit is happening in space that makes the crew angry. Aliens show up and...
Aliens.
Oh, okay, let me do this seriously, I guess.
No, the internet dimensional rift is cool.
So yeah, they're looking for the USS Defiant, not that one. Which has gone missing in space, and they find it, but it's kind of phasing in and out of reality. And they beam aboard in these wonderfully ridiculous silver spacesuits and find that the crew is...
Shut up! I love those space.
No, I meant it. They are
They're
wonderfully
beautiful.
ridiculous.
They look like early Doctor Who Cybermen costumes.
I'm so
Kind of.
glad they replaced those shower curtain ones.
That's
yeah.
I
that's
just
true.
wish that. I wish that it was the same suit just made out of the shower curtain material.
That doesn't make any sense.
And I love that shower curtain material.
Fuck you. Fuck that material.
Anywho,
Maybe you could get a shower curtain made out of it.
I should.
so anyway, they beam onto the Defiant and they find the crew dead. Largely, it looks like at one another's hands. And while they're trying to figure out what's going on, the ship has even greater, sort of dissipation issues. Doc starts putting his hand through walls and furniture and shit. He's like, "Oh Jesus, we gotta get out of here."
Chekhov kept it together.
He did,
Which
he
is
did.
surprising considering we know his adrenaline.
That's true, and he actually is the first one that shows symptoms of the space madness.
Yeah, fucking Chekhov, man.
Yeah, well, it's 'cause
Fucking
he's-
space madness.
There's so little of him, he's infected quickly. He's like,
He is. He's only 5'6", Chris told me.
Yeah, I looked it up the other day.
Little Walter Koenig. He's a little feller.
So they start to beam back to the ship, but of course
Very sizist.
I'm sorry.
something's going hooey with the ship's circuitry because of the area of space they're in, so they can only beam 3 of the 4 people at once. So, believe it or not, the red shirt gets out this time. And Kirk is left behind, and the Defiant completely disappears from this universe before he can be beamed aboard. So then they're sitting there, kind of looking for Kirk, but then the Tholians show up, and they're like, "Get out of our space!" And Spock's like, "Just give us like an hour 15. And they're like, "Okay." And he's like, "Oh, great." So then they sit around for a while, and meanwhile, people start to show symptoms of being crazy. Like people
Fish
have been
Lens
crazy. Again, yes.
Same director, that's why.
Ah, really?
I wondered about that.
Funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
He was really fucking into fisheye lenses, and they eventually fired him.
Because of the fish
Because
eye
of the
thing?
fisheye
I don't. They
lenses?
didn't say that. They said
I
that.
kind of like the effect. I think it's good when
I think it
used
depends. I think it depends
with,
on the episode. I
yeah.
feel like
discretion.
when it's showing craziness, I feel like it fits. But I would never dabble too far into fisheye lens.
Where the hell did I leave?
Yeah.
People started to go crazy.
The Tholians.
Tholians, Spock and McCoy are at each other's throats already. When Spock's been in charge for all of 5 minutes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. They like people start to go a bit nuts. Spock and McCoy are more rankled at one another than usual. And when Kirk is due to reappear, he doesn't, and they think it has something to do with the Tholians showing up, fucking up space. So the Tholians, rather than calling back and being like, "Right, your time is up," they just fire on them. Spock is like, "Well, if we hang around, he might reappear." And meanwhile, everyone's going kind of nuts. And
Strapping people to fucking
Well,
beds.
Chekhov
Yeah.
goes first. He gets hauled off to sick bay.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then Uhura,
sees Kirk, so they think she's gone crazy. But she
they
actually
start
hasn't.
fucking gaslighting her, assholes.
What, don't you have to know you're doing it to gaslight someone? Because they genuinely just think she's nuts because no one else has seen him yet, and people are
And
going
yet
crazy.
they believe Scotty when he says it.
He's confirming it.
Well, then they all
Then they
see
all
him
see
together
him once.
immediately.
Oh, fair
That's
enough.
true.
Like
Fine.
Scotty comes up and they're like, "I don't know," and then there's Kirk, and they're all seeing it, and they're like, "Oh, we owe her an apology."
But did she get it?
probably
I
not.
think not.
Yeah, and then so now they think Kirk is just proper dead, so they have a little memorial, and McCoy and Spock have this really bizarre argument where McCoy is like, "We have to look at Jim's last orders," and then they're in...
Video will.
Yeah, and then they're in to look at the video will, and then Bo's like, "I gotta go," and Spock's like, "No, we have to leave." Like, they each change position. It's like there were 2 drafts, and
Yeah.
They forgot to fix that. It's very
Maybe this is where the
inconsistent
two
and terrible.
directors swapped in and out or something.
Oh, they fired him mid-episode. Oh, yeah, I see. Anyway, not a lot happens. Everyone's getting increasingly angry. The Tholians start building the titular Tholian Web.
Hey, you said the title!
Yeah, in both episodes, they said the title. Yeah, because Spock says the Tholian Web at one point. Long story short, they get Kirk back and everyone's happy, and the episode felt like it took even longer than this intro did.
Well,
This
it
intro
did
take a long time.
It did.
Well, we kept
though,
getting off track.
It's literally twice as long as this intro.
That's true, but
So,
I mean, it was an interminable fucking episode.
but the episode was terrible.
Yeah, it was.
Did we talk about how much we love McCoy?
Go for it. We're just gonna sit back and you two go nuts.
This was a fantastic McCoy episode, and not even just because he's a beautiful man. I think it's because his character got so much fucking meat. Like, to see the conversation...
You got some meat, too.
Yeah. No, they had the cutest meet cute I've ever seen. And he was just saying, like, wow, yeah, I do live a lonely life, and I would like to have happiness, before I die in a year. And, I'd like to do something in the time I have left, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just watching this, like, resting my chin on my hands, and like, yay!
I was just sad at the end when he's like, I want you to come with me. And she's like, no, I have to help my people. And I was like, my heart, like, broke.
Why did he decide not to stay afterwards? Because he would have still stayed.
I think probably
He got
because
cured, and he said, fuck it.
Aww.
he's like, I've got my whole life to live. I'll probably meet someone prettier than you.
She was pretty.
No, she
Well,
was.
she
was
actually
gorgeous.
was
He
talking about...
rocked the fuck out of there.
That's the thing, he realized he'd knocked her up.
Yeah, Kirk, I thought, was, like, pissed the whole episode.
He was so jealous.
Because he saw the lady's going for McCoy and not me. Something's wrong on this asteroid. None of these women are into this?
But
Fine,
basically,
I'll just power on with Spock.
basically
Must be a rock full of lesbians.
what it comes down to,
Well,
I think,
also, the
is-
women can't pick their mates. Only the priestess can pick her mate.
Okay, that was the significance of that line. That was a little unclear to
so
me.
like everybody else is like computer picked or something.
I guess.
Probably,
That's
that
what I'd
would
say.
make sense.
Computer is a little weird. The Oracle is a little weird, I think.
Well, let's talk about this from this is a really, really good science fiction episode, just in terms of the story, right?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
a generational ship.
A generational
I
ship
love generational ships.
that's so old and so past
10,000 years old.
that like none of the inhabitants of it have any knowledge whatsoever.
It's
of
been a
what they were before.
10,000-year game of telephone.
Yeah, exactly. And sure, should
apparently
the
they've
Oracle,
never read the book. Like
well,
idiots.
yes, because the Oracle, they have the only things that have been passed down are the rules and what you can and can't do, or can and can't look at.
And what pajamas you have to wear.
What pajamas.
I wanted McCoy to wear those pajamas when he got married.
But everything, it makes a lot of sense how it would get this way, and even down to the picking the mates and things like that.
Yeah.
If you're a generation ship, one of the things that's really important to maintaining that is maintaining genetic diversity, so you don't have first cousins fucking.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that the computer
Mathed it out.
would select mates based on genetic profiles or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I really, even without taking into account the good story in this episode, just the setup and the premise of the episode is really...
It's probably our best episode in a long while.
Yeah, either I'm forgetting all the old good ones that I liked, or this one has rocketed up to the top of my list. And it's not only because McCoy
Yeah, you've
is
been
great.
blinded by... No, I feel the same way, actually. This is absolutely in, my top 5, if not even
What's
higher.
interesting is that, this is not one of the classics. This is not one of the episodes that people cite often.
No.
Yeah, maybe
The
they
next one is, for some reason.
No, they just can't remember the whole title, I think. 'Cause the title is the longest title fucking
Yeah,
ever.
that's true. Yeah, what a bad choice.
I like the
I like the
title.
title, but to make an episode memorable. Although The City on the Edge of Forever is another long title, but I guess that's maybe a more memorable title. I don't know.
Yeah, and a little more concise.
A little bit. Yeah, I was really impressed by this episode. I had not heard of it really. It's not one of the episodes I can remember watching before.
I feel like I probably saw it at some point, because it wasn't totally unfamiliar, but...
I was very surprised.
Pleasantly.
Very pleasantly surprised. I too liked McCoy's plot. Yeah, his whole fuck off at the end though.
Well, so I was going to say earlier, is...
It's better than what Kirk would have done to Miramani, at least. least.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing she died because
Oh, God.
he would not have that kid.
But
Do you think they banged? They probably banged.
he was
right?
there for like a couple months. They banged.
Oh, was it a couple months?
No.
No,
McCoy.
Kirk.
I
McCoy
thought-
Yeah, well,
and
Miramani was pregnant.
What's
so
her name?
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was
Natira.
definitely immaculate.
McCoy and maybe
I can't imagine they didn't. I mean,
he wasn't there too long.
Yeah,
but yes,
but
the thing is, so what she had
if I was
said.
able to put somebody in the Bones zone, I would be
I mean,
on
he
that
did
really
become
quickly.
one with the people.
True.
So
He fucked everybody?
everybody.
He really-
That's why other women can't pick a main.
Oh no. But yeah, the thing is, so even before he realizes he's been cured, and he's asking her to come with him, like, I'm gonna go and try to find a. And that's what comes at the end of the day is despite everything else, and despite all the fact that he kind of claims to not actually really sort of love the whole exploration thing and transporters and this and that to varying degrees throughout the years. She even says, like, he won't really want to stay in one place for too long. He is, at heart, an explorer, or at least a physician who
who
is
wants to
going to
help
explore for the sake of his practice.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like, I gotta go, I gotta try to find a cure. That at the end of the day, his physicianness overrode everything else. And then conveniently he was cured. Which, but still, that urge to go.
Yeah, it's an episodic show. You gotta kind of start where you ended.
Right.
Or end where you started, rather.
Yeah. And that's actually, so that was something you mentioned when we were starting the episode, is, we of course have the benefit of hindsight, but
You have to wonder if the people who are actually watching this, like live on television, like really thought that he was going to die. You know, because of course we know, like, he's all the way up through. Well, actually, he shows up in Next Gen, doesn't he?
Yeah, he lives like another 80 plus years.
So, like, we know that, but, like, back in the 60s or whatever, they wouldn't necessarily... I mean, they definitely wouldn't have known that there'd be future movies, but they didn't necessarily know that he was going to survive. And I kind of also wondered that about, like, when Chekhov dies in the OK Corral episode, and, like, anytime anyone has died or come perilously close to death, like, it does make you wonder, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
even when we get to like Wrath of Khan, and it's a big fucking surprise that Spock dies.
Yeah.
Spoilers, everyone.
Yeah.
In Wrath of Khan, and yet he comes back because no one actually really dies except Leslie once.
Well, the other thing...
Nobody dies in Star Trek, period.
Yeah.
Like...
Well...
Dax.
Nope.
Well, actually, because she's a
She
fucking worm.
becomes Ezra.
Spoilers!
But yeah, I mean...
But that version of Dax.
But back then, especially, too, I was saying, nowadays... You hear that someone's leaving a show,
months before
they're going to. So, like, then there's some extra tension. Oh, is this the episode where they kill off this actor or whatever? Back then you didn't, unless you were reading the trade papers, you didn't necessarily, So, yeah, on the one hand, you're like, this is an episodic show. They don't kill anyone. On the other hand, for all I know, DeForest Kelly's not renewing his contract.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, that is a point. But, like, that's the thing about Star Trek, though, is even when somebody... gets written out of the show. Like, the closest we have to an actual death on the show is Tasha Yar, of a main character.
Yeah.
And she comes back.
Yeah. And that's it. I haven't seen enough sort of non-sitcoms from the 60s to know if they were any more, like, kill-happy back then on TV shows.
Well, also, they didn't have that precedent then either. Like, they didn't have several series worth of shows to know, like, nobody in Star Trek dies.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they
Well, that's
only
why
had
I
what
was-
they had, and...
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of wondering, like, by then, you hadn't any other Star Trek. We had by then about a decade and a half of episodic television.
Oh, sure.
And I'm not sure...
I was addressing...
No, I know, and I'm saying to your
Yeah.
point, like, I don't know, and that's what I was saying, is like, if it was common to kill off major characters unexpectedly back then, or if...
No, they just recast.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
That's true.
That's
We
what they did.
were talking about that earlier.
They would just recast and figure no one would notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretend this is the same person with the same face.
But yeah, no, that's interesting. And I also think that had McCoy actually died, I mean, obviously it would have been off screen because the show ended this is the last season of the show. It would have been interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
What would have happened?
Motion picture just opens with them hiring a new doctor.
This is a problem. This episode was good, so we don't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Because it was really good, and, like, I just thought a lot of it, a lot of the moments between... What was Girlface's name?
Natira.
That's a nice name. A lot of the moments between Natira and Doc were just really beautiful and really sweet, and it was just so lovely, like, the idea of her, him being like, but I only have a year to live, and she's like, it could be a day, a week, You know, of
A
just
year is plenty.
I live for love and being happy and all this stuff. It's just so sweet.
Both of them that scene worked.
Yeah,
because on
it
paper,
been
that's a terrible line.
Cheesy as hell. Yeah. No, it was really nicely done.
That was the thing.
Doc looks like such an awkward kisser.
Yeah, he was. Well, I think I said he was being more gentle than we're used to on Star Trek.
Yeah,
like he was probably being romantic, while Kirk is passionate.
Yeah,
so it's a very different type of kiss.
It was sweet. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was interesting, though, because you were saying this earlier. That you're kind of caught off guard when you find out Bones is apparently profoundly unhappy.
He sucks it up and does his job. I feel like, and here's the thing. I was reading. There's a great comic by The Oatmeal about happiness, and he says it's a long comic about how he's not happy. But it's not that he's not happy. It's just that he feels excited about things, or he feels passionate about things. But happiness overall to him is an end game. And if you're happy, it means you're done. If you're happy, it means like there's nothing left of the journey. I'm probably quoting it terribly or doing it not at all justice. But happiness, I feel like, is not necessarily attainable.
I subscribe more to the Dennis Leary theory of happiness, which is that...
Can I punch it?
Yeah, no. That happiness is a warm chocolate cookie, a cigarette, an orgasm. Happiness isn't a constant state of being, because like if you were just always happy, you wouldn't understand like the importance of like good and bad.
It's like if it's always you need grief to enjoy your happiness and shit like that.
And I think that most people are, well, not most people, but lucky people are at least content / satisfied, and happiness comes with the big moments like birthday parties and seeing a movie with your girlfriend and this sort of shit.
So do we think McCoy is content, if not necessarily happy?
I don't know. That's the thing, because I think that unhappiness can definitely be a full-time state. I think happiness is a sometime state, and I think unhappiness is definitely something that can be all the time. So I don't know. I mean, I would say that in general, he seems pretty content. He bitches a little bit about stuff, but I think that's where he gets his happy. I think he likes being a cantankerous.
He specifically says that he's lonely, though, and I feel like it's specifically lonely for a lady, because, he's got, his buddy Kirk and his chum Spock, who he gets to be a little antagonistic with.
He's already fucked his way through the 200 or so women on the ship.
I also think, though, that it gives a fair amount of perspective when you learn that you have a year to live.
That's what I was thinking.
He might be perfectly happy, relatively speaking, to be out in space in the Enterprise,
working with Starfleet,
going around the galaxy. But when you find out you have a year to live, it's like, oh,
I'm thinking,
what haven't I done with my life?
Yeah. Yeah, like I've been spending all this time chasing this dream, doing this work, and what was it for? If at the end of the day I don't have anyone to hold me when I'm
none
sick,
of it was for me. All of it was for this concept.
Right.
Yeah.
And that might be why it seems like, because at the end of the episode when he does leave, like nothing changed really between him and his wife. He was evidently still in love or whatever. And he just, I'm going to go now. Bye.
Well, he wants her to go with, and she's like, nah.
Well,
she's
effectively, they sort of each understand the other one's position.
Yeah.
She is the
if
captain
you love
of
them,
this
let
ship.
them go.
Yeah, and he knows. I mean,
and fuck them 390 days later at a already decided upon designated
She's counting
point.
The minutes, much like all of Kirk's old girlfriends.
Turns out the planet they get to, it's like a totally abandoned planet, except for a Denny's.
Here's my question about that. No, I had a question. Like
Denny's.
So completely abandoned.
They go to the Denny's bathroom.
I got your grand slam right here.
Oh, no.
One of us. There's no going back.
Can I actually ask? Bring up the topic of so Oracle has been piloting this ship that no one knows is a ship.
No, yeah.
Does Oracle know that a collision course? Because Oracle has been saying we'll get to our planet soon. And then at the Are they going to, what's the planet's name? Darren
5.
Darren 5.
Denny's 5.
Denny's 5. Is that the planet that it's going to?
That's unclear. It's probably certainly going to the same system, at
Yeah,
least.
because I know when they said, "Oh, we'll rendezvous back with them when they reach the planet." Is it because they're like the asteroid is going to the planet, or just because it's going by the planet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are all the Fabrini people gonna go jump onto Darren and repopulate there? Or?
There's already 3 billion people there.
Well, then there's plenty of people to choose from.
Yeah.
And plenty of room for more people.
But yeah, no, I don't think, based on what little we see of it, the Oracle, for all that it does not seem to have good self-diagnostic capabilities, because it doesn't seem to realize it's developed a fault in one of its engines.
Why did it shoot asteroids at the Enterprise at the top?
Asteroids.
Missiles. Well, sorry. Why did it shoot missiles?
It's probably like a proximity
Alert
detection
kind of thing,
Yeah,
maybe.
where it's like, oh shit, there's a ship or something.
Because you're right, though. That's never.
Because that's probably
maybe
probably
it thinks
not.
it's on a collision course with the Enterprise.
Yeah, maybe if it detects any object approaching it, it just tries to shoot it down in case it's another asteroid or something.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think of Oracle as being like autopilot or whatever from WALL-E. What is that thing called?
Oh,
I don't remember.
I think they just called the autopilot, didn't they?
Right, I think so, right? Because it's like, nope, we've got to get this generational ship where we're going. Don't meddle. Get the fuck out of here.
There is, you were saying earlier, it's a 10,000-year game of telephone, except there's been one constant participant who shouldn't have gotten things garbled.
Well, he's a computer, and computers, they need to be defragged. They need to,
Yeah,
be
that's
Well,
true.
it's not just
We
that,
can't
though.
get a fucking
The-
laptop
the-
to last 5 years. How do you expect the ship to do this shit?
The creators, right, would have.
What, the engineers?
Well, they call them the creators in the show. the original, the people that built the ship,
The original gangsters.
The asteroid ship?
Yes, and made the Oracle. They might have, because they seem to have technology about on par with present day human technology.
Yeah.
Like they have like rockets and.
But they have stowed away all this medical expertise, like the cure to McCoy disease.
Okay.
Yeah, they have more advanced medicine, it seems. But Spock or Kirk even says, "Oh, not too different from the Enterprise," when they're in the control room.
What I'm saying is they're not nearly as sophisticated as Starfleet.
Yeah, they're definitely not as sophisticated because their password was, you just press this fucking button.
Yeah. Press the big
the
button
thing
that looks like a button.
That's exact. Yes. Yeah.
Like the password to get into where the book was more complicated to get the password to get into where all the fucking equipment was.
Maybe they were just hoping people would assume it was a speaker grill and not a button. I certainly thought it was a speaker grill for a while.
I was waiting for it to be pushed. I was like, that looks like something they need to push at some point.
Boop bop.
It looked like the Captain Marvel symbol, I think.
I don't even know about that.
But as I was saying, the creators, they probably would have only programmed the Oracle. I don't think it's a general purpose.
It's
AI.
not Landru. You're not going to talk it to death.
Exactly. It's not, and it's
Although
not,
Kirk's
and it's not something
wanted
that really thinks for itself either. It has a very strict set of directives that it does.
Yeah.
And I also wonder if the Oracle differs from the ship control system. Like the Oracle might be the computer that looks after the people, and that's specifically what its purpose is.
Yeah.
It might be a completely separate system that
He's the
pilots
Spock's
ship.
brain of this asteroid.
Yeah,
He does decide to kill old man and torture people every so often when they break the rules.
Right, so he's like, his job is deal with the people.
Oh, speaking of old man, I know Chris read my notes already because he's a cheater. The old man was
them to me.
was the same actor that played Dr. Haskins in The Cage, who was the guy on the planet who welcomed Pike and folk, and Tomar from Return of the Archons. He's your generic old man, only he was wearing a terrible wig in this one.
And a lot of makeup.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, his makeup was, his eyes were weird.
Well, we
The
were
eyes
saying
are
it's
weird and-
almost like they took his existing sort of wrinkles and bags, but just emphasized them.
We want you to look, instead of, 80 or whatever you are, 80 years old, we want you to look 150 years old.
Yeah.
And then Girlface, on the other hand, had fantastic makeup. Her eyeliner was divine.
I was
loved
waiting
it.
for you to comment
Oh,
on
the
that.
double-pronged cattail thing she had going on. She
Meow.
had what did I just say? Cattail winged eyeliner is what I meant. She had double wings. And then she had accents under her lower lash line to make the lashes look longer and shit.
But damn it,
I
her
loved it.
navel was hidden.
Yeah, her whole entire back was, completely naked.
Yeah.
They had a molded piece of, plastic with some fabric over it so you could see the entire outline of her breast. But we had a special,
bit of sarong
to cover the navel.
Yeah.
Thank Jesus, won't someone think of the children?
They love exposed side ab.
Yeah.
But you can't show the navel because there's so many costumes.
Because the
like that.
navel is a hole. It's a hole on a
You
person.
could put your dick in it or something. You can't have
Well,
that.
if you can imagine somebody's navel, you can basically imagine everything.
I feel like we've had this exact conversation.
We have.
on
I'm
episode.
pretty sure.
I don't know if it made it into the final edit, though.
Oh, we're so boring.
Will
Same
this?
conversation.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd also like to... One thing that struck me about the episode, too, was how good Kirk and Spock were about Prime Directive-y shit.
For once.
At least at the start.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're like, well, we have to do something. But, they were... I feel like if McCoy didn't turn back, they would have had a real problem on their hands with deciding whether or not to destroy the
Right, yeah,
asteroid.
because they were talking to Starfleet. They had to hand over the job to Starfleet. What would Starfleet have done? Just destroyed the asteroid?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's not a way that they could have just pushed it back off course. There's got to be
Well, especially-
asteroid pushers in the future.
Well, especially considering a few weeks ago, their mission was specifically to move an asteroid off a course. And the only reason it didn't work is because they fried their power
Yeah, this
supply.
is a self-propelled asteroid.
That's true.
So
You send 2 ships.
Just jettison what's his name
Finney.
into the pod and just shoot the pod into it. That'll divert it off course. It's perfect. It's like a little sort of like air hockey, except Finney dies.
Finney's always dying.
Yeah, it's
Oh, you just put a carrot on a string and you drag it in front of the asteroid and it follows you.
that's
Like a horse.
perfect. You can lead an asteroid to water, but shit gets fucked up. I don't know.
Oh, the people of the asteroid had the men had the stupid boot hats again.
I believe...
Condom hats.
Ugh.
Oh god, when we were watching it, I was like, oh Jesus, look at these guys wearing these condom hats, and they look like a bunch of dickheads too.
and
Got a good one off. It was
the
great.
great thing,
They get some good leaping.
somebody got kicked in the face, and their hat went flying.
yeah,
I
I
like
said,
that.
yeah.
I imagine it like shot off of them like a deflating balloon, just like away into the distance. Yeah.
And I couldn't tell what food the women were bringing Kirk and
They
McCoy.
were burritos.
They looked like Easter festive burritos.
Ooh.
They're like pastel colors.
Yeah, of course.
I missed food cubes for once.
There's some kind of future zebra cake.
They got some Tranya.
They got some Tron. Yeah, the man tried to give them some pills or some shit, right?
Ancient herb derivative. They could tell by smelling it.
Yeah,
Whatever that means.
McCoy's like, seems like some kind of ancient herb derivative. What the fuck does that even mean?
It means
smells
it was
like oregano.
grass.
Yeah, I was just gonna say oregano. Like it's.
So, I sort of touched on this in the intro. Thank goodness that even though this culture, as far as we knew, died off 10,000 years ago, there's a thorough enough understanding of the Fabrini culture
Yep.
that Spock can know the language.
Yeah. Well, Spock does some silly things this episode, and then he does the math in his head in like a second of, oh, well, that's interesting. This asteroid's on the collision course with planet such and such in a year and a couple of days.
But see,
It's
that
like, Spock.
And he knows the
know,
exact population.
that I'll buy.
If
No,
Rain
that
Man
I
had done
don't
it, you
buy.
wouldn't have thought anything of it.
Well, the thing is, how do you know where exactly in space you are right now? Because you've been traveling. Just to see an asteroid and think, okay, in a year, Darren's going to be there, and in a year, Asteroid's going to be there.
That's a fair
Because you can
point.
tell by looking at it how fast Asteroid is
No,
going.
Ames, I'll tell you.
Damn it.
He mind melded with the asteroid. Because he can do that now. In this episode only, never again.
Thank you, Caitlin.
You're
you
welcome.
fixed it.
You're welcome, Ames. I've got it. I got you covered.
I appreciate it.
Magical Vulcan
Jumping
powers.
ahead a little, so we won't stay there, but even Doc in the next episode is like, you're probably immune to whatever's causing everybody to go nuts.
I loved that line.
It's like, nice. That got a bit meta.
Well, actually, I mean, honestly, we probably should move in that
Move on to
direction.
Tholian
Because
Web?
Move on to the shitty one.
are
'cause we've-
you...
See, the thing is about, and I'll just dive right into Tholian.
Get it, girl.
Break through the Tholian Web and jump on in. Is I loved the dimensional rift stuff. Like watching Kirk vanish and like be stuck in this rift and see him reappear every so often. That's super, super cool.
And move his mouth like a fucking fish out of water.
Well, I think was he trying to mouth
He's trying to say
words?
like Spock.
Yeah.
At one point he was definitely trying to say Spock, but I just was like, oh my god.
Like, that was kind of neat.
Spock, delete my porn.
Yeah, that was actually his final orders. It's
like,
the two of you need to work together, and also please get rid of the really freaky deaky collection of
You
shit I
can't
have in
let
my cabin.
Chekhov see that shit.
No, you know what
His
it is?
innocent mind.
Too late.
He left the final orders
That's
tape
why he
for...
actually went mad.
He left the final orders tape for Doc and McCoy, and then secretly there was another final orders tape for Leslie, and it was his job to delete the porn.
That sounds right.
Ooh.
Doc and McCoy, huh?
Yes!
Two of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of spirits floating in space, apparently the script that was written actually just called for...
They ejected it. They ejected the script out of a spaceship towards the sun. And it's
With
burned
Finney.
up.
Oh,
Sorry.
What's going
poor
on?
Finney.
No, apparently the script originally was the original script wanted like spirits floating in space,
Ooh.
and Roddenberry had to be like, yeah, we're not doing fucking fantasy shit. What is...
This is it. No one wants fantasy mixed in with their science fiction. Next you're gonna have laser swords, you fucking weirdos.
And yet fucking Wolf in the Fold had a Jack the Ripper
That's
spirit.
true. That's true.
I don't know.
Well,
I
it
don't know
wasn't a
about
spirit.
this.
It was an alien
Yes.
entity. Like, that's the thing. You can do spirits in Star Trek.
You
You
just
just
gotta
have to
call
make them
them
alien
aliens,
entities.
Yeah, you have to make some kind of science
So-
behind them.
The Tholian Web, right?
Yes.
What a useless fucking thing that is.
Yeah,
The
it took
web
3
itself?
hours for them to make
the
it.
only reason it's a threat to the Enterprise is because they broke their engines again.
Yeah.
The Tholian Web only works if the ship you're trying to capture is already broken.
Yeah, is perfectly static in space.
It's like, we'll have you in a minute. Don't go. They left.
All right, well,
Aw.
let's imagine a scenario where this could be used. So maybe the Tholians are scrappers. Maybe they look for space salvage, and
It's a way to just hold it still.
Like the
Yeah.
stupid mask he was wearing.
and maybe it turns into like a trawling net. Maybe they
Yeah.
can drag
Yeah.
the Enterprise back.
Maybe if Yonada the asteroid was heading towards planet, they could make a net and stop it.
Should
Yeah, that's
befriend
what I'm
those
saying.
weird spidery bastards.
Do you think they could go do it around a planet?
I mean,
Maybe
planets
that's what they-
move too, but
Maybe
Of course,
that's
like
how
a
they
couple of
conquer
years.
Planets. Maybe they conquer planets. Who knows?
Well, because if they were in orbit, they in theory could do it. Maybe
Well, because this
maybe
even
what?
when the planet was
if
moving, they would go
the
with
net
it,
was
right?
going with it, that
Yeah.
would be interesting.
this is one of only, 2 times we see the Tholians?
Do we
And the
see them
second
again?
time we see them, it's the Mirror Universe Tholians and Enterprise.
Oh.
And it's the sequel to this episode.
It is.
'Cause we
Oh,
get
is that the one where what ship was it?
The
The
Defiant.
Defiant shows up again?
Have they got
Yeah, I
something
saw
better
that.
than the fucking Tholian Web this time?
No, but it
Do
seems
they
to
have
work
like
faster.
the Tholian lasso or something? Like,
Yeah.
We do see a full Tholian body.
They have bodies.
Yeah, so it turns out that
They're not just a cockroach head.
They're
Oh.
cockroach head attached to some spindly arms and 6 legs. They are big insect fuckers.
They're like
Oh, that's
really
cool.
scary, like early 2000s CG.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they are gross but hysterical.
so by the time we watch that in 2020,
I mean, just like
it'll
the
look
Gorn,
really
though, the
shit.
Gorn in
Oh, the Gorn
Enterprise
looks
was pretty bad.
awful.
Oh, that's a shame.
Wait, do they CG the Gorn?
They
Do
do.
a CG Gorn.
I think
But
that's
but
actually the
it's
same.
kind of-
we
it's
look-
kind of
we
a
look-
toss-up about what's worse, the costume Gorn, which is ridiculous, or the CG Gorn.
There's
which is
something
awful.
charming about the ridiculous costume. The
Yeah.
ridiculous CG is just bad. This episode just didn't want to end.
It was boring.
And I had a lot of problems with the way McCoy behaved.
Me too.
Most of the episode, and
I live
for
for a Spock McCoy scene, and these Spock McCoy scenes
It's
didn't
the
seem
exact
great.
same thing that happened the last time Spock was left in charge, where
Yeah.
McCoy just fucking second guessed him and undermined him every fucking decision he made and criticized him and was just generally not supportive at all.
Yeah.
I'll say this that I'll say they assume Kirk is not savable.
Yeah.
And McCoy is kind of, I don't think he's necessarily blaming Spock for that, but he has to force his animosity somewhere, that Kirk is probably dead.
For a while during the episode, I was like, oh, it's McCoy is affected by the rage, and that's why he's acting like
He
a
just always
shithead.
acts like that.
But no, it just that was never indicated. It just he was just being really mean to Spock. And sure, I think he might have had some argument there that Spock probably could have made some better decisions along the way. But
yeah, I just didn't like their argument. It didn't seem well done.
Did not, usually they're ribbing and they're back and forth.
Yeah, they build off of each other.
Yeah, but
even when they're fighting,
mean-spirited, like McCoy just being like, "You killed the captain, and now you killed all of us. You fucking asshole."
No, but how could you even blame Kirk on him though? Like, it wasn't his fault the transporter wasn't working.
And Kirk's the one who volunteered to go last.
Well, as he should have. He's the captain. Yeah. That's his job.
But that's the other thing, is like their argument, I couldn't follow the thread. There was no thread to their argument.
No. And they changed positions on what they were arguing about
at one point,
several times.
Like
we have to go watch the obit. No, no, I don't want to watch his fucking obit anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to do his fucking funeral. Fuck this funeral.
It's like what it came down to was they knew they had to have them really at each other's throats, so we could all be sort of moved by how prescient Kirk's final orders were. About like, I know you two are trying to fucking kill each other right now. Yeah. And it was like, they go, oh shucks, he was right. But I wanted that animosity to build organically. It felt really forced here.
It felt out of character, especially for McCoy, but for both of them.
Well, because even when he's genuinely mad at Spock, and he has been before, there's a bit more logic, frankly, to his anger. This was just random.
When they're watching the video Will, and they're just every so often pan to Spock looking stoic, and McCoy, and I will never say this, I hope I never say this about DeForest Kelley again, but he was hurting himself, Walter. It's like he goes, eye twitch, and then look around, and then fumble, and then...
He's having a bad day.
It's like he's ready to just shout at the TV.
Because he knew how bad the script was.
I mean, maybe...
What's my motivation here?
Maybe they were trying to imply in the episode that he was affected by the rift
that.
Because he was acting very irrationally, but I also just... It was never that clear.
No.
It was a shame. No. And I know, like I'll blame the directors, and I think I'm pretty sure there were two of them on this one because they fired the guy who also did Is There in No Truth Beauty, which I really liked. I like that script.
Yeah, it was good too.
But something went wrong with this one.
Yeah, very badly.
It's a shame.
The one thing I kind of found amusing about Kirk's orders was that they assumed he would have been killed rather the way he was in the midst of sort of a dire situation. But it's like, what's to say he wouldn't have just cacted on an away mission? You know?
Well, he had a different set of orders. Like if I die mysteriously in space,
this envelope,
use the yellow card.
They have a big book of scenarios.
Yeah.
Sort of
if it's finally an STD
on House of the Hill, right?
If I croak while and collapse on some alien broad.
If one of my ex-girlfriends comes back and finally bitch slaps me to death
after 4 years, 7 months, and some number of days,
an odd number
of days. Excuse me.
Not 2, 4, or 6,
or maybe 3, 5, or 7 though.
Could be.
If I accidentally eat Retinax for some reason and don't have my EpiPen.
Yes.
If I OD on Cordrazine.
If somebody jettisons me in a fucking...
No, if Finney jettisons me.
If somebody drops a bridge on me.
If an Acme anvil should fall from the sky.
Lethal space diarrhea.
Oh, he's got 2 for that.
In space, nobody can hear you.
Oh my.
Fabulous.
The other thing I was going to say is...
Episode title.
Spock.
No!
Spock really needs to take a lesson from Scotty in giving estimates of time to people. He told the Tholians exactly how long they were expecting it to be. He could have been like, and then they shot at them.
Yeah.
Yep.
At that exact moment. So he could be like, it's going to take 4 hours to see what's going on.
Well, especially because apparently, not that we knew this, but when they shoot him, yes, the famed Tholian punctuality. It's like, so they're super punctual, and you didn't give yourself some wiggle room.
I wonder do they know the Tholians, or is
Spock seemed to have some idea.
I wonder if that was just him ribbing, kind of like, they said they'd be here at 10:05, and here it's 10:05, and they're here.
Maybe.
The famed punctuality.
Maybe it's because he can't lie.
Except by the fucking way.
Oh my
God.
God.
By the fucking way. Proof of what we've been saying this whole fucking time. That the only source we have for those pointy-eared hobgoblins not being able to lie is at the end when he very directly lies. No, Jim, we didn't look at your final orders. And there's no wiggle room here. It's not lying by omission, which apparently is fine, or some other thing.
Little white
It is
lie.
blatant, outright fucking lying.
Why do they lie? Why not
I
just
don't
say,
know.
"Oh yeah, we watched it. Things were," and then we are friends again.
Because they wanted Kirk to think that
They always thought he would come back.
Well,
no, that they could get on without needing to be told not to behave like petulant children.
Yeah, but they were supposed to watch the will no matter what.
Well, they were busy.
It's like
they were busy putting their heads together to solve the problem. They didn't have time to listen to his will because they were
Kirk's
in,
feelings that they didn't watch it too.
Yeah, he was
they-
really sad. He's like,
inside,
you didn't watch.
So
my...
they're just
I put
mean.
so much
final
time
orders.
into that.
You think they ever tell him?
They don't need to. It's the future. He can go in and check
That is
properties.
true.
Last time it was viewed 2 hours ago. Son of a bitch.
Has to call up the IT guy.
It's like the
Leslie, I
end
bet
of, it's like
Leslie's
the end
the
of
guy.
Home Alone. Spock! You lied about watching my final orders!
Despite my objection to the way, the demeanor by which McCoy interacted with Spock in this episode, I do agree that Spock did a terrible job as acting captain.
He often does, and we've seen
He's
this
really
a bunch
not
of
good
times.
at it.
Well, he always says he doesn't want to be captain, and that's because he sucks at it.
Yeah.
He
doesn't
doesn't
want
want to be
another
captain.
number one.
Eventually,
Have
they
Chapel
gotta,
do it.
yeah. Have fucking. I mean, Scotty often seems to be put, in charge when there's a away mission or something. Let Scotty do it. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, once they got rid of
But,
LaSalle, they
'cause,
started relying on Scotty.
Yeah, and here's the thing: dire situation. We have very limited time to act, or the ship is going to die, and
We're all
and
crazy.
and we're gonna go crazy, and these aliens are gonna blow us up. Let's have a memorial service in the mess hall. Get the podium. Come on, everybody.
Where Spock starts off by giving, the world's shittest eulogy.
Yeah.
That guy that flipped out, it wasn't space madness. He was pissed about what a bad job Spock was doing.
You know what? Here's the thing. Fucking Picard shows up as a fucking Borg. No fucking memorial service. No fucking, oh my god, the captain's a Borg. It's fucking fire. Fire the lasers at the captain's Borg corpse. Riker was a good first officer. Spock, maybe a good first officer.
Yeah, I was saying.
But when he's in the chair, he's no good.
Let's talk about Tholian Web
Yes,
instead.
please, for some
So-
reason.
Do we have to? Can we just finish?
Well,
Just kidding.
let's talk about Chekhov. Chekhov goes fucking batshit
Oh, the
Fish eye
fucking
lens
moaning!
crazy.
The moaning in the background when he's off camera.
Yeah, and we're just looking at Uhura saying is that what's going to happen to me? No, we're sure you won't be that crazy.
Yeah, no,
That's Chekhov
You're a
on
better
good day.
actor.
Even in madness, Uhura, you will have more dignity.
And also, you pointed this out when they were holding him back, and they had obviously dubbed his screams over because his mouth was open, almost like he was going, and it was still them going,
Yeah, there's one quick shot, and it's just whose decision was that?
It looked so
Terrible.
bad.
And that, to be fair, that's not Walter's fault. That's whoever did
it
the
was
sound
just
design.
so distracting. It was ooh. But no, that wasn't Walter's fault. The sound he was making was Walter's fault. And boy, it sure was, man.
They had
They
to
just-
bring back Walter into the sound booth to AVR.
I think they just used some fighting cats.
So, totally random, but I'm just looking at my notes. One little detail which I actually liked. They're obviously just reusing a bunch of Enterprise sets for the Defiant, but they took the time to give the Defiant's engine a different color.
Oh, did they?
The Enterprise engine, the engine itself.
red.
Yeah, it's sort of an orangey red. The Defiance was blue.
Oh, neat.
I wonder if that was just because it was off though.
No, because it was an active blue glow.
Oh, was it?
The rest of the room was pretty dark, but the engine was actually kind of it was definitely a dimmer light than the orange they usually have in their engine. But it was definitely an active blue light.
Okay.
Whenever we visit another starship, the whole crew is dead.
Yeah.
This is the third or fourth time this has happened? At least the third. Because there was the one
was
where they were turned
Deckard's.
into crystals.
Yep.
And there was the one that was going to fly into the... Oh, no, they were on a planet that exploded, but that still counts.
Yeah, there was one person left alive.
That flew in the
on
Doomsday
ship.
Machine.
So at the very least, the ships are always empty.
Starting to feel like there's a little Murder, She Wrote thing going on here. Somebody on board the Enterprise is actually the one perpetrating all these other spaceship deaths.
Yeah.
Kirk shows up to be all Jessica Fletcher and figure it out.
Yeah.
It's Jack the Piglet.
And they're really, like, they are just running out of Constitution-class starships.
I thought that, there were only 12 like it at the start.
And I think now we're down to...
Jeez.
Because the one flew into the Doomsday Machine.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
They blew up one during the M5 War Games.
Yep.
The Defiant just went to a different universe.
Yep.
They maybe got to salvage the one with the crystal people.
Maybe.
That was unclear.
Yeah, but would you really want to serve on that ship?
No. But
You'll find Dawson and be like, oh god, that was a person.
You know what it is? They salvage
it's in my shoes.
They salvage it, claim they scrapped it, but really they just hide it for a year and change the name.
Yeah. Shift the lumbers around.
Yeah.
Somebody with the world's biggest file is like scratching off the VN numbers or whatever.
It's that guy that's waving at the space dock in Star Trek's 1 and 2.
Speaking of Constitution class ships and like taking over a ship after the crew has died, I read a very interesting theory. I don't know if have you all seen Star Trek 4 yet?
I've seen it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Spoilers for Star Trek 4.
Spoilers for Star Trek 4. So, as you know, at the opening of Star Trek 4, our intrepid crew does not have a starship. They have a Klingon bird of prey that they've stolen from Christopher Lloyd. Which is interesting because it was Christopher Lloyd's bird of prey, which was a time machine. And Christopher Lloyd also has a DeLorean that's a time machine. So Christopher Lloyd has a lot of fucking time machines. So anyway, so they have the bird of prey time machine. And at the start of the movie, we have the probe, the alien probe that's coming to talk to whales.
Yep.
And it just fucks everything up. Anytime it gets near something, it fucks it up.
Badly.
And in one of the early scenes of the movie, when it's attacking, when it's just not attacking, it's passing through, you hear like the final distress call of some ship, right?
The Saratoga?
I don't remember. It might have been, or the Yorktown? I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
It was some ship. Some ship gets busted up by the thing. And then at the end of the movie, the Enterprise crew is presented with a brand new Constitution class ship.
Oh.
If I were Kirk, I'd be like, where did this ship come from?
They dusted all the crystals
because
out.
They're not building new Constitution class ships. They got Excelsior class now. Constitution class is yesterday's news. So did they just recover the ship with all the dead crew on it? Because it's not like because it was probably a rechristened ship anyway. Because like I say, they wouldn't build it. They wouldn't have had the time to build a whole new ship.
Yep, and they salvaged all the uniforms too. They just shook out the crystals and said, "We got you new clothes."
Okay, so potential long shot stretch idea. At the start of 3, they're being told they're going to decommission the Enterprise because it's 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So they do already know they're mothballing the first Enterprise. They don't know it's about to be blown up, but still. Mm-hmm. They were planning on getting rid of it anyway. And the Excelsior is still an experiment at this phase.
It's true.
So maybe they did, I'm sure the guts were newer, it was nicer, readier. They could have actually already had the Enterprise A ready.
But here's the thing. I don't think there would have been an Enterprise A. I think that they only did the Enterprise A because, first of all, at the start of Star Trek 3, the crew had been split up.
True.
Only
the core.
Yeah. Well, Scotty was on the Excelsior. He didn't even work with them anymore. Kirk was working at Starfleet or was going to be working.
But he's still an admiral at that point,
right? McCoy was retired and insane.
Yes.
Uhura was working in the transporter room.
Well, that, though, they implied was a position she requested for the sake of the plan.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It is unclear what she was doing up until that point.
But, the point is, it didn't look like they were going to be sent back out as a crew together. So I feel like they weren't even going to do an Enterprise A. And then because of the heroicism of, the crew coming together and saving Earth from the whale machine, that they were like, okay, we'll do them a solid. They love each other.
Yeah.
We'll give them another ship. We got this ghost ship that we recovered. Let's just slap the Enterprise name on it. Give it to them. It'll make them happy. We can send them on some. We'll send them out to the planet of everlasting peace or whatever.
Trolley planet.
And we'll send we'll send them on some shitty diplomatic mission with the Klingons. That'll surely go well.
Oh God! This has been lengthy discussion about the future. Corner. Sorry, that's my fault because I brought up the number of
But no, I think
Constitution
it's
class
an
ships
interesting
they've
thing.
lost.
And I
That is interesting.
It's another instance where
talk about it again during 4, I think.
they rechristen a ship in a later series. And just give it away. What do you think would happen if Starfleet was like, all right, everyone on the Enterprise, you're fired. We're reassigning you. We're going to change the name of your ship and give it to another crew. Fuck off.
Yeah. Well, and then there's just the fact that, I mean, I'm sure in the actual military, crews don't stay together for 20 years.
No, they definitely don't.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like after the
5-year mission, in reality, they probably all would have gone their separate ways.
They kind of do.
For a bit, yeah.
And then, fate keeps bringing them back.
No,
together.
Kirk's inability to move on keeps bringing them back together.
And, I feel like by the time they get to the A, it's almost like a ceremonial post.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of like the Queen or something.
Yeah, it's the Enterprise. It was a training ship.
It was, yeah. It was
already basically decommissioned.
Which actually, amusingly, a bit of real history, the actual USS Constitution spent a good decade or 2 or more as a training ship.
Interesting.
So Uhura sees Kirk in his awesome spacesuit in her mirror, and I thought, Uhura is always seeing weird shit in her mirrors.
Yeah, she is. That's true.
Because in what was it? In The Children Shall Lead, she sees her old reflection in it or something. Uhura, just cover your mirrors. It's too weird.
You know what else, too? I was thinking this. She also may have thought she was nuts, because before she sees his reflection, remember, she does, double over.
Yeah.
So, she actually is starting to be affected by the spaceship anyway.
I didn't even think of that. Because she seems so sane.
Here's something I noticed, too, is that every time Kirk appears, somebody has, a twinge of pain like that.
Well, if you assume if they're being affected by the space...
Yeah, if it's
phasing
because
in,
of the rift.
So it could be connected.
But
now, I don't know if the episode was clever enough to have done that on purpose.
Well, I think it was. I think it was, when they phase in, there's, that pain.
Yeah.
Because she has it.
Yep.
Does Scotty have it?
Scotty has it.
Oh.
He doubles over right before he sees Kirk in engineering, and then I think it was McCoy on the bridge.
Nearly fell over right before they all see him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that was. I was wondering how McCoy was falling over.
Yeah.
He looked good.
Yeah.
He always looks good. I will say, and I missed this in The World is Hollow when I have touched the sky. He got to lie on an awesome looking rug for a while.
That's true.
That looked super comfy.
Rug.
So with Uhura, though, what was the deal with her getting into that crazy dress and medallion?
Well, I was going to comment on that, because is this the first time we've seen Uhura out of uniform?
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, in Mirror Universe, we saw her in a different uniform.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't think this is her in her leisure wear.
Oh, I assumed it was a Johnny. I assumed that everyone that went to sickbay, because didn't check
No, that was, but before
in
that,
her quarters,
she puts on this big
this
red dress and a medallion.
How did I not even? Was I asleep during that?
You never actually fully fell asleep. You just were bored as fuck.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it was this.
I don't remember
Very
that.
60s dress.
Regardless, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, this thing she's almost immediately in sickbay, but
and they changed her.
what was the deal?
They changed Chekhov too, which is a little odd because he was probably flailing and crazy.
Yeah, why would you bother?
Just tie him down.
Yeah.
Examine his nuts.
But yeah, so the thing I wanted to ask about Uhura is weird. So the thing is, she's not just changing, she also sort of cradles her uniform strangely.
Was she folding it?
No, that's what I thought was going to happen, but she doesn't actually fold it. She just kind of puts it on the bed, and she's looking at it weird, and it's like...
She's probably afraid that they're going to die.
Well, that's what I mean. It seems does Uhura think she's about to die, and it's resigning herself to it? She's I want to die and not my fucking uniform? If so, that's an oddly sort of good, almost powerful moment in an otherwise dreck episode. But it's just... the problem is you don't have a chance to really think about it, because she almost immediately sees Kirk and spirals off into shit town of badness.
So, what is the appeal with this episode? Why is this episode such a well-known one?
I don't know.
It was nominated for an Emmy for special effects.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
that
special
web.
effects are good.
It was good.
For the 60s, the web was impressive.
We watched the remaster. The web looked really good in the web in the remaster.
It looked really good in the not
better
remaster.
than you'd expect in the original.
I actually remember thinking wow, we must have mistakenly watched this on Netflix, and I'm like, no, I know he put the disc in. Wow, that looks good.
Yeah.
Well,
I was impressed.
They also did a pretty good effect with the people in the table on the Defiant phasing out.
See, I couldn't tell he was trying to put his hand through. It just looked like he was just putting his hand above
No,
when his
they
hand was supposed to be
definitely-
going through?
No,
I don't know.
they definitely.
Yeah, I can see
I
it
don't
going
know.
through too. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. You're right.
The spacesuits, I think you said it briefly earlier. What's interesting about those is they were oddly reminiscent, I'm sure not on purpose, but oddly reminiscent of early Cybermen. Not the very first incarnation, but like the second Doctor's version.
Well, of course it wouldn't have been intentional. Doctor Who didn't start till 69.
Doctor Who started at
63.
63?
Yeah.
They already had their 50th.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Why
That's
did I
what
think
the day of the Doctor
69?
was.
I don't know.
Because 69 is when Star Trek ends?
Just 69.
69 is when Trek ends.
69
It's
is
when
the funniest number.
It's when Trek ends, and it's when Troughton's run as the Doctor finishes.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
The
Sorry,
moon
just
la-
kidding.
the
Of course,
moon
63.
Landing.
Yep.
Oh, well, big deal.
But I don't know how long it took them to start showing it over here. It may not have made it over here yet.
Nixon takes office.
That was 68.
He was elected in 68.
Good point.
Let's escape from this Tholian Web, however Kirk and crew did so.
Yeah, that was a little vague.
I think they
But I don't
entered
want to
the-
talk about this
I
episode
feel like
anymore.
they entered the rift and took Kirk with
Popped
them
out. Yeah,
somehow.
I don't know. The only good thing about this episode is the fact that the episodes that follow up this in Enterprise are actually really quite fun, if ridiculous. And we get to see Archer in a Fat Day shirt.
Huh.
Well then, this has been one of the best episodes we've seen in a while, followed by a wicked clunker. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been episode 33 of A Star to Steer Her By.
Woo!
That's right, I didn't say a proper number earlier. I apologize. Do please find and like our Facebook page, A Star to Steer Her By. We are on Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting application. Recommend us to your friends, enemies, coworkers, bus drivers, fellow bus passengers, subway people, people on the plane. Things like that.
Snakes on a plane.
Sure, them too, if they have a tiny little snaky iPod. That would be adorable. Anyway,
Aw.
coming up next week, we have Plato's Stepchildren.
Is that one bad?
If it's the one I think it is. And Wink of an Eye. Jake just winked, everyone.
Sexy.
That was what the noise meant.
I think that was made clear by the Foley effect.
Well, you also could have been him doing his Tin Man impression. Yes. For A Star to Steer Her By, this
Sounded like
has...
window washing. Sorry.
True, it did.
That sounded
That's a
like
meowing
herding a cat.
kitten.
Yeah.
Please take us out, Chris.
For A Star to Steer Her By, this has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jake.
Thank you for listening.
Be sure to tip your yeoman.
Riker was a good first officer. Spock, maybe a good first officer.
Yeah, I was saying.
But when he's in the chair, he's no good.
What is the shit that you just said? Does Picard die at some point?
Spoilers.
Oh shit, I should have spoiled that. No, it's a hypothetical. I'm just saying, like, if Picard was killed, then Riker would have...
Does it at least happen in one of the movies? Like, is it the last movie where they kill him or some shit? Jake, what the fuck, Jake? What have you done? It's gonna be 3 years until I
She's
see
just
it.
gonna make me tell her, you know.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't want to tell you the whole story because I don't want to spoil it because it's a good thing to see for yourself.
It's because if it's the Borgie episode, it's the one that's voted one of the best episodes of television.
It is generally
considered
Star Trek, right?
You gave away these important details about one of the best episodes of Star Trek
I
ever.
did, but I didn't tell you the full thing. So
Thanks, Jake.
Listen, the fucking thing was on TV 25 years ago.
we've been ripping out spoilers all fucking.
The good thing
show.
is, by your own admission, you don't have the best memory for television stuff anyway. By the time we get to that, you'll have forgotten this conversation.
That's actually probably 100% true.
I could probably just tell you the whole thing right now. And
Let's talk about Tholian Web
yes,
instead.
please, for some
So-
reason.
Do we have to?